Down for the count. So TMZ had a video of him all up in the hospital. He was, strapped up and stuff. We are not putting out any graphic information like that. I just don't think it's right that they have that type of video. I think somebody from the nurses team probably sold it, to TMZ the same way they selling Diddy photos and everything. I'm like, why we ain't got no R. Kelly?
They're saying it's pneumonia, but the people who know Ray J's world aren't buying it. Not after what happened to Kim Porter. Same symptoms, same sudden collapse, same man at the center of two empires built on secrets, Diddy's and the Kardashians, both of which Ray J has spent the last year trying to burn down. And now, as we speak, he's lying in a Las Vegas hospital bed hooked up to machines while his Instagram feed pretends everything's fine. Birthday plans, smiling selfies, like a man who either doesn't know how bad this looks or doesn't care. But the people around him, they're the ones who look like they've seen this movie before, because they have.
Ray J's a good dude. Ray J's a good dude. So I'm going to ask God to please heal this man fast, in a hurry. Please help this man get up real fast and go catch a rabbit. Apparently he's in the hospital from pneumonia. I think he having some chest pains and heart pains. He's 44 years old. He don't look 44. He still look 12.
Let's start with the diagnosis. Severe pneumonia, just like in 2021, when Ray J thought he was going to pass. Back then, he told TMZ he started praying, convinced it was over. This time, the prayers aren't coming from him. They're coming from the people who know what happens when you cross the wrong power players in this industry. And Ray J, he's crossed two of the biggest. First, there's Kim Kardashian, who he's accused of federal crimes, claiming she and Kris Jenner are facing a racketeering investigation so explosive it'll make Diddy's legal troubles look like a parking ticket. Then there's Diddy himself, a man whose inner circle, according to whispers, has already made their feelings about Ray J very clear. Too clear. The kind of clear that ends with hospital stays and convenient diagnoses. Now, let's talk about that pneumonia. Lobar pneumonia. That's the official term.
They're going through it. They don't work. They're mentally messed up. They're whether you got a $2 billion budget or you got a 200,000, everybody's done.
The same thing that took Kim Porter, Diddy's ex, back in 2018. The same thing that, according to Al B. Sure, wasn't an accident. The same thing that all of a sudden has Ray J fighting for his life after months of dropping bombshells about both families. Coincidence? Maybe. But in a world where Diddy's facing human trafficking charges and Kim Kardashian's lawyer is calling Ray J's lawsuits frivolous while he's lying in a hospital bed, coincidence starts to sound like the punchline to a very dark joke. And here's where it gets messy. Because Ray J wasn't just talking, he was screaming, on live streams and interviews anywhere a camera would point his way. He called out Diddy's payoffs, he accused Kim and Kris of extortion, he even joked, if you can call it that he was the new Diddy on Kai Cenat's stream, right before things got weird. Really weird. The kind of weird that ends with a man in handcuffs on Thanksgiving, waving a gun on live TV, screaming about people trying to take his kids. The kind of weird that in hindsight looks less like a meltdown and more like a man who knew something was coming.
I know you are, but stop. I'm trying to help you out. All right, cool. You good? Yeah. Middle, they're about to pull up right now.
But let's back up, because this isn't just about Ray J's health, it's about his timing. Think about it. He spends years as the industry's punching bag, the guy who got famous for an intimacy tape he claims was consensual, the guy who watched Kim Kardashian turn that tape into an empire while he got labeled the villain. Then, all of a sudden, he starts fighting back. He sues Kim and Kris for $6 million, accusing them of breaking their settlement agreement by dragging up the intimacy tape on their Hulu show. He goes on rants about federal investigations. He starts naming names. And what happens next? The pneumonia comes back. Worse than ever, with heart complications. Right as he's in the middle of filming some bizarre reality project where he's hitchhiking across the country, sleeping on strangers' couches, looking more unhinged by the day. A man with no protection, no filter, and suddenly no ability to breathe. And the wild part? He's still posting birthday celebrations, smiles. Like a man who either doesn't realize how bad this looks or knows exactly how bad it looks and doesn't care. Because here's the thing about Ray J. He's always been the guy who says the quiet part out loud. The guy who crashes live streams, who pulls guns on Thanksgiving, who sues the Kardashians and then doubles down when they sue him back. The guy who, just months ago, was telling anyone who'd listen that the feds were coming for Kim and Kris. That Diddy's world was about to collapse, that he had receipts. And now, he's the one collapsing. In a hospital. With the same condition that took out Diddy's ex, while the people he's been exposing stay silent. Now, let's talk about the Kardashian angle, because this isn't just about Diddy. This is about a family that doesn't lose. Ever. Remember that $6 million settlement? The one where Kim and Kris allegedly paid Ray J to shut up about the intimacy tape? The one they're now accused of violating by bringing it up on their show. That's not just a lawsuit. That's a pattern. Because the Kardashians don't just win, they erase. And Ray J, he's been trying to rewrite that narrative for years. He's called them liars. He's accused them of extortion. He's even claimed in legal filings that Kim Kardashian begged him to go along with her false story about the tape being leaked against her will.
So Ray J, look, can you talk about what's in the actual doc? Because people were surprised too that there were 2 tapes that y'all shot.
Okay, hold on, I'm gonna do a short.
Try to talk to the mic.
And what happens when you try to rewrite the Kardashian story? Well, ask Kanye. Ask Pete Davidson. Ask anyone who's ever thought they could go toe-to-toe with that machine and walk away unscathed. But here's the thing about the Kardashians. They don't just fight back, they weaponize. And right now, Ray J is in a hospital bed, his body failing him, while their lawyer calls his claims frivolous. While Kim Kardashian reveals on national television that she's been diagnosed with a brain aneurysm, stress, the doctors say. While the world watches her cry about her divorce from Kanye, her law school struggles, her kids growing up in the spotlight, while Ray J's kids are posting about his birthday plans like everything's normal. Like their dad isn't fighting for his life in a city where secrets get buried and pneumonia diagnoses get handed out like business cards. And then there's Diddy. Oh, Diddy.
God, I would rather be not in jail, because I'd rather be than to be on medication. No one from the family has taken any responsibility for my hospital visit, but if we were to go on mine, that's 50% of what people say at least. Or maybe, am I lying?
It doesn't matter.
Am I lying? It do matter! It does matter! It does matter!
The man who, according to Ray J, has been paying off accusers for years. The man whose legal troubles are so deep they're making headlines every single day. The man whose ex, Kim Porter, passed of the exact same thing Ray J is now battling. The man whose inner circle, insiders say, made it very clear to Ray J that he was talking too much. And what does Ray J do? He keeps talking. He goes on Kai Cenat's stream and jokes about being the new Diddy. He hints at federal investigations. He starts naming names. And then, bam, pneumonia, heart pains, a hospital stay, just like Kim Porter, just like that. Now, let's talk about the timeline, because this isn't just bad luck. This is a pattern. Ray J spends years as the industry's joke, the intimacy tape guy, the reality TV mess, the man who can't stay out of his own way. Then, all of a sudden, he starts dropping truth bombs. He accuses Diddy of running a payoff scheme. He claims Kim and Chris are facing federal charges. He files lawsuits. He goes on rants. And what happens? His health collapses. Again, the same way it did in 2021 when he thought he was going to pass. The same way Kim Porter's did. The same way that, if you're paying attention, starts to look less like a coincidence and more like a playbook. And here's the thing about playbooks. They leave fingerprints. Like the fact that Ray J was in Las Vegas when this happened. Not LA, where his kids are. Not New York, where his legal battles are playing out. Vegas. The city where anything can happen and no one asks questions. The city where, just a few months ago, he was allegedly in a tense standoff with Diddy's sons at a private party. The city where, according to sources, Diddy's team has been known to handle problems. The city where Ray J just so happened to be when his lungs started filling up. And let's not forget the hitchhiking project. Because that's the other thing about Ray J. He's been acting like a man who's either running from something or toward it.
Feeling, brother?
You good?
I'm feeling good.
You got a lot going on.
Lot going on, yeah. I wanna make it really. I'm happy that this is my platform now. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yes.
To go into the holidays in the Q4 correctly.
Okay.
With respect and honor and love.
Filming a show where he's sleeping on strangers' couches, begging for food, talking about how hard it is to get home. Like a man who's either broke or making a very public point about how little he has to lose. And in an industry where people get silenced for a lot less than what Ray J's been saying, that's not just a red flag, that's a flare gun. Now, let's talk about the silence, because that's the other thing that's deafening right now. No statements from Ray J's team, no updates from the hospital. Just Instagram posts about birthdays and smiles, like a man who's either in denial or sending a message. And on the other side, crickets. Diddy's team isn't talking. The Kardashians aren't talking. Even Princess Love, Ray J's ex-wife, the woman he pulled a gun on during that infamous Thanksgiving live stream, isn't saying a word. Like everyone's holding their breath.
I just want to say, I've been doing a really great job at protecting my peace and staying off of social media and just going to work, taking care of my kids, minding my business. I love my kids, and I would never do anything to put them in danger, including leaving them with a man who's waving a gun around.
Waiting to see if he walks out of that hospital or if this is the end of the story. And that's the thing about stories like this. They never end cleanly. There's always a loose thread, a question no one answers, a coincidence that doesn't feel like one, like the fact that Ray J's pneumonia flares up when he's under stress. And right now, He's under the kind of stress that lands people in the ICU, the kind of stress that comes from suing the Kardashians, from accusing Diddy of crimes, from knowing too much in a world where knowing too much can get you a one-way ticket to a hospital bed. But here's the wildest part. Because while Ray J's lying there, fighting for his next breath, the world's still turning. Kim Kardashian's on TV, talking about her brain aneurysm.
Yes.
So the bar exam is 3 months away.
Do you feel nervous about the bar?
Yeah, I'm not ready yet.
I am feeling a little bit overwhelmed.
What?
Someone from prison was like, this person put a hit out on your life.
That's better than the dog.
Diddy's in court, fighting trafficking charges. Princess loves quiet. The kids are posting about birthdays. And Ray J? He's the only one who looks like he's actually in danger. The only one whose body's giving out while everyone else moves on. The only one who, if you believe the whispers, might have known this was coming. And that's when you start to wonder. About the pneumonia. About the timing. About the fact that Kim Porter passed it the same way. About the fact that Ray J's been warning everyone for months that the feds were coming. That the truth was coming. That he had nothing left to lose. And now, he's the one who can't breathe. He's the one hooked up to machines. He's the one posting about birthdays like everything's fine, while the rest of the world watches and waits to see if he makes it out. So no, this isn't just about pneumonia. This is about a man who knew too much, talked too loud, and now can't catch his breath. This is about two of the most powerful families in entertainment, both of whom have a history of making problems disappear. This is about a pattern that's starting to look less like bad luck and more like a warning. And if Ray J doesn't walk out of that hospital, well, let's just say it won't be the first time someone who knew too much ended up silenced by a diagnosis. But here's the thing about playbooks, they leave fingerprints. And the fingerprints on this one, they're all over the place. From the Kardashians' $6 million settlement, to Diddy's legal troubles, to the fact that Ray J's been acting like a man who's either running scared or knows exactly what's coming.
If you look at how the Kardashians handle media versus how you've handled media, what's the biggest lesson you've learned about controlling your own narrative?
I don't give a f***. That's controlling the narrative. How I am now, it exudes what anybody can do, and it seems like it's a crash out. But it's a voice where I'm speaking my voice, and every day is getting heard.
And if there's one thing we've learned from watching these families operate, it's that nothing's ever just a coincidence. Not the pneumonia, not the timing. Not the fact that the one guy who's been screaming the loudest is suddenly the one who can't speak at all. So keep watching those Instagram posts. Keep listening to the silence. And when Ray J either walks out of that hospital or doesn't, ask yourself, how many times does the same script have to play out before we stop calling it a coincidence? How many times does someone have to end up in a hospital bed with the same diagnosis before we start asking who benefits from them staying quiet? And how long until the next person who knows too much starts coughing up blood? Because in Hollywood, the only thing more dangerous than the truth is the person telling it. And right now, Ray J's the one holding the mic. Or at least he was, until he couldn't breathe anymore, until the pneumonia hit, until the heart pains started, until the world started watching to see if he'd make it out alive. And that, our friends, is when you know it's not just a story. It's a warning, one that's been written in hospital charts and legal filings, and the kind of silence that only comes when the people in charge have something to hide. So stay tuned, because if Ray J is telling the truth, this isn't the end. It's just the part where they think they've won. And in a town built on secrets, the only thing more dangerous than a man who talks too much is a man who suddenly can't talk at all. Now let's talk about those fingerprints. Because if you want to understand what's really happening with Ray J, you've got to start with Kim Porter's memoir, the one her family says never existed. The one Al B. Sure claims got her silenced. The one that, according to him, detailed years of private horrors inside Diddy's world, right before she passed of the same thing that's now got Ray J fighting for air, low-bar pneumonia, a flash drive full of secrets, a sudden collapse, and a family insisting it's all just a tragic coincidence. Here's where it gets interesting. Kim Porter's children, Diddy's own kids, have come out swinging, calling that memoir fake, a fabrication. But Al B. Sure isn't backing down. He's talking about missing pages, stolen notes, a cover-up so deep even Porter's laptop vanished. And let's not forget what he's implying, that her private writings lined up a little too neatly with the charges Diddy's facing now. Human trafficking, racketeering. A system, Ray J claims, built on payoffs and silence. The kind of system that doesn't take kindly to loose ends. Or to men like Ray J, who've spent the last year yelling from the rooftops about what really goes on behind closed doors. And speaking of loose ends, let's pivot to the Kardashians because their playbook looks eerily similar. Remember Kim's brain aneurysm reveal? Stress, the doctor said. The divorce. The law school grind. But let's talk timing.
It looks like Kim Kardashian is using her reality show to make, I mean, I hate to say it because I love Kim and I hope she passes the bar, but I think she's using the show to make excuses ahead of time in case she flunked.
That diagnosis dropped on the same show where she and Chris allegedly broke their $6 million deal with Ray J, the one where they promised, in writing, to never mention that infamous tape again. The same show where, according to Ray J's lawsuit, they dragged it right back into the spotlight. The same show where Kim, Chris, and even Ye started throwing around words like extortion and assault, painting Ray J as the villain all over again. Coincidence? Or a reminder of what happens when you stop playing by their rules? Because here's the thing about the Kardashians. They don't just win, they rewrite history. And Ray J? He's the one chapter they've never been able to erase. The man who humiliated them with a song, the man who sued them for breaking their word, the man who, just months ago, started dropping hints about federal investigations and racketeering charges like he had nothing left to lose. And now, he's the one gasping for air in a Vegas hospital while their lawyer calls his claims frivolous, and their show rolls on like nothing's happened. But let's not forget Diddy's playbook, because this is where the dots start connecting themselves. Remember Ray J's 2011 warning to Fabulous? "I got goons on call." Back then, it sounded like bravado. Now, it sounds like a man who knew how the game was played. Fast forward to last Thanksgiving, when Ray J pulled a gun on live TV, screaming about people coming for his kids, his life, his sanity.
Bro, I swear to God, I'll shoot the fuck out of you. Y'all get out of my house. Y'all get out of my house.
Shoot me right now.
I swear to God,
Shoot me right now.
take my son.
No.
I hate you over the fucking head, bro.
Hey, you supposed to be family.
Nah, get the fuck out of here. You in my house.
Hey. Stop. 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 Okay. I know you will.
A man unraveling in real time. A man who just weeks later would start talking about Diddy's legal troubles like he had front row seats. And what happens next? The pneumonia flares up. The heart pains hit. The hospital stay begins. First, the threats. Then the meltdown. Then the silence. So let's ask the question no one else is asking. How many times does the same script have to play out before we stop calling it bad luck? How many times does a man who knows too much end up in a hospital bed with the same diagnosis as Diddy's ex, while the people he's been exposing stay quiet? And if Ray J doesn't walk out of that hospital, who's going to be the next one to start coughing up blood? Because in a town built on secrets, the only thing more dangerous than the truth is the man telling it. And right now, Ray J's the one holding the mic. Or at least, he was. Until he couldn't breathe anymore. Until the world started watching to see if he'd make it out alive. So tell us, what do you think really happened to Ray J? Drop your theories in the comments, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. Because in Hollywood, the only thing sharper than a knife is the truth. And we're just getting started.